Good afternoon and welcome back. My name is Michael James and I am here to chat with another very special guest today from RuPaul's Drag Race Down Under Season 2. It was the semi-final, but we were down to 4, and last year we got 4 in the final, and this year we only get 3, which means we had to say goodbye to someone and see ourselves transform from a 4 into a 3, and that person, very sadly this week, was Molly Poppinz. Good afternoon, Molly.
Hello, hi. Yes, it is me, Molly Poppinz, speaking from the grave right now.
Molly, speaking from the grave, you look very much like the gayest possible version of Endora, the mother from Bewitched.
Oh yes, I'll bewitch anyone. Yeah, love it. Woohoo!
Either that or a really gay Big Bird meets the Cookie Monster.
Either way, it is camp, and I'm here for it.
Well, it's a pleasure to have you, darling, and to get to reflect back on what was a very tumultuous season for many contestants, and one we really got to see so many of you shine. And for you, you got to shine straight out of the gate. First win of the season. How was that to kick off the show?
Oh, it was great. It really boosted my confidence. Like, I tried not to show it like going in, but I was so nervous, so overwhelmed. I'm like, okay, I can't let these bitches see me sweat. And like that first challenge, I'm like, oh my God, like I am not a sewer. Like, oh, like let's just make it through. I don't want to be the first one to go home. And then I won, which was also a surprise to me. And I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, I did that. All right, the race has started. Let's go.
Let's get it started. But it's funny you say that you felt insecure, because for a lot of the girls we saw it as their narrative, and we saw that I didn't feel that from you. You seem to be so confident, sort of riding it through the whole time. What made you feel so insecure to kick off with, or nervous?
I think just the whole experience, it was just like very, very overwhelming. And I'm a very like internally emotional person, so I don't like to let it show. So I was struggling that in my head, but I was just like, keep it cool. Don't break a sweat. You've got this. So yeah.
Well, you managed to convince us that you were super confident. And despite it being your only win, you still continue to shine. You still continued to have this beautiful, bubbly personality. How did that go with the other personalities of the rest of the queens in the workroom? Because there was some big personalities and a lot going on, and there's also some quieter ones as well.
Yeah, so like I really started out as one of the quieter ones. Like I'm very shy when like you first get to know me, and like I didn't really know any of the girls like this season. Like the only person I knew, in the room was Hannah Conda, and we didn't know each other that well, more like acquaintances, like internet friends. So she was the only one I knew. So it was like getting to know all these people for the first time in this crazy setting, and some crazy loud bitches. Like it was definitely hard to get a word in. But as I got a bit more comfortable, and I started to come out of my shell a little bit and seen the crazy cool Molly Poppinz that you saw on your TV.
Oh, and so who did you make best friends with on the show by the end?
But then like there was like me and Hannah were always, she's my little hobbit, always felt comfortable and safe with Hannah. The only one I knew before I went in, but I also got really close to Beverly, and I got close to Pamara. But I love all the girls.
Oh, they're all very lovable. And speaking of all of those girls, what was your take on, I suppose, some of the dramas that we had between them, which you kind of seem to be quite removed from, lucky you. But what was your take on all of these, things that we saw going on, and the infighting that, everybody that I've spoken to was really like, we get along quite well.
Like we're all friends, we're all sisters. Like, obviously things happen when you get to Drag Race, like, and drama's gonna happen because like you can't have a season without Drag Race, without drama. Like I don't like confrontation. Like I'm a Pisces. I said that on the show that I'm like, oh, I just like to stay out of it. But I like to know all the drama that's going on in the room and be like, ooh, maybe like some shady little side comments. But I managed to steer clear of any major dramas because that would not have been good for me mentally.
Yeah, you were just dodging those.
I threw a few bitches under the bus here and there, but I was just like, I got out scot-free.
Now, speaking of close relationships, I want to double back. You actually kicked off your drag career all over in Canada.
Yes, I did. Yeah.
How did you go from Australia to Canada and then start drag there and end up back over here?
Well, I was kind of dabbling in drag when I lived in Australia. I had never performed or anything. I would go out every now and then and be like, oh, feel the fantasy. And then I don't know, I just was like feeling like my life was like a bit of a ride. I'm like, I wanted something new and different, exciting. While I was still young, and I'm like, oh, let's move to another country, just totally randomly, and just see what happens over there. So I moved to Canada, and that's when I really started drag. So I started performing. I entered a drag competition. I was only over there for 2 weeks, and I entered this 5-week long drag competition. It was intense. Never performed before, but she made it all the way to the finale. And then after that, I was just catapulted into the Vancouver drag scene. And yeah, the rest was history after that. And yeah.
I brought you back home, and while you were there, you made a drag sister in Canada's Drag Race Season 1 alumni, Ilona Verley.
Yes, Alona, she was one of my first friends that I made over there. I just adored her drag, and as a little baby drag queen, she really helped me along the way and really found my brand and aesthetic, and helped me get into the scene and kind of polish up my look. So I kind of call her she's my drag sister, but I also call her my fairy drag mother because she did really help me a lot.
Oh, she's a beautiful soul. Remind me, was Ilona the one who had the drama with the bum on Season 1?
Yes,
it was Ilona.
Did. Yes, with
that bum drama.
On that ass. Yeah.
Oh, the poor thing. She was beautiful. So, what brought you from Canada
and
back home?
Even in the Snatch Game, I had to get my bum out in honor of her.
Oh, of course, of course.
No makeup on that as well.
What made you come all the way back home?
The visa ran out, hun. So I kept extending, and then I was just oh, okay, no, I need to come home. So I did come home, and I was like, okay, well, I'm stuck here now. Let's try and make the most of it. So I had to kind of start from the bottom again, which was never fun, when you make a name for yourself in a city and then you come somewhere else and people are like, who are you? But that was all good. And then 6 months later, COVID hit, and then everything went to poo.
Of course, as it does.
Yeah.
This ruins everything.
all the hard work I did for 6 months getting my name out, I was just oh, okay, now I'm doing drag in my living room to a camera.
Oh, of course. Now, speaking of cameras, did you get approached to do Season 1 of Drag Race?
I did not, and I thought it was very rude that I was not approached.
That nerve.
They didn't know who I am. They didn't know who I was.
So what was it? So you obviously put in the application for Season 2. What was the process like for you getting there? Was it long, arduous, nerve-wracking?
I actually enjoyed doing it, and I will say, we were talking about Miss COVID being a pain in the ass, but we were in a lockdown during the audition process, and I have never been thankful more for COVID in my life, because outside of that, I used to manage a restaurant working 40-hour weeks. So if we weren't in a lockdown, I wouldn't have had the time to really put into the audition tape. So I'm like, oh, thank you, lockdown. I'm not mad. So I just really focused on the tape, and I was really proud with the outcome that I got.
Oh, beautiful. Now, you speaking of working a restaurant job, have you quit your day job? Have you quit your boy job now? Are you full-time drag?
Yeah, I had to quit to leave to go film Drag Race. Because I couldn't talk about it, and I was just hello, Mr. Bossman. I need a couple of months off, no questions asked. And he's no, I can't do that. I'm okay, sorry, I'm gonna have to leave you. Be nice, bye.
And so you haven't gone back since? You're just doing drag full time now?
Yeah, no, drag full time. So it's paying the bills, and now she's on that Rugo rate. It's stunning.
Taking in the money.
Yes.
Love it. So you made it onto the show. You've reached out now all the way, and you get to Snatch Game.
Okay, yes.
Yes. We get all the way. It's such a roaring success. And so how did you feel about that Snatch Game experience and the feedback that you got and what you turned out?
So I was #team delusional girl, and I thought I did really well. And then hearing the critiques, I was like, oh, okay, no, I bombed. So and then watching it back, that was oh my God, this is cringe. This was a choice. That was the moment in the competition when I started to really get in my head and doubt myself. And you don't really see it show, but I'm like battling those like demons in my head, being like, oh my god, like you're trash, you don't belong here, like oh my god, step it up. But yes, that was definitely a choice. If I could go back and do anything again, it would be a different Snatch Game and not wear a mask. But all Peck did follow me, so that might be the key. If you want the famous celebrity to follow you, you just got to bomb the Snatch Game.
Perfect. Well, maybe you could go and do an appearance with them together, and you can.
Yes. I'm sliding to me DMs, Oval. I'm open. I'm ready.
We probably told him, I can't remember. Who was your second Snatch Game choice?
So I had a couple of Real Housewives of Melbourne girls I was going to do maybe Jackie Gillies, because like she's from Newcastle, like, you know, she's just like a classy bogan icon. She's a medium psychic, but I was just like, oh, you know, the psychic thing has been done on Snatch Game so many times. There's not really any way you can like make that new. But then the other one was also Gina Liano, because everyone kept saying that I look like Gina Liano on the first episode.
That's the one I know. I don't know many of the housewives, but I know that one.
But
she's on everything.
That was the other option, and I kind of I wish I went with Miss Gina. Yeah, I think I could have nailed that one.
We live and we learn, but you know, hashtag All Stars. Hooray!
Yeah, hashtag All Stars, and you know, she took a risk. I think I'm the only person to ever wear a mask during the Snatch Game, so she made history there. So
True.
It got the people talking.
Yes, it did. And that's the main thing. There were long people talking about you. Now, we made it past there, though. You managed to get all the way to what was a really beautiful challenge. I think it was the first time we've ever seen that makeover challenge where it's an entire family of people. Just what was the experience like in the room and being with these people and seeing that connection and being able to be a part of that?
Oh, like, it was great. Like, I remember, like, being there and then, you know, Rue's like, oh, you know, say hello to Keelan. And then he opens the door and we're all like, yeah! And he's like, oh my God, they know who I am. And we're like, oh, we have no idea who you are, but we're just so excited to see another person here. Hi. And then the whole family walked in and it was just like, I don't know, it was just the challenge that we needed at that point, because, you know, the competition is so draining and we just needed that like new like breath of fresh air, like kind of thing. And it was just so great to get to know them and talk to them, and they just brought a whole new energy into the workroom.
They did. And speaking of energy, now your Keelan was of energy, to say the least.
Oh yes, he did love that camera.
Do you think, bless him, that he might have been your undoing?
I don't want to say that. Like, maybe
it's not his fault, but maybe he just contributed to it a little bit.
Maybe a little bit. He was like trying to run the show a little bit, and I was like, no. Because he was just like, oh, you know, I don't really like this wig. I want to wear this long woman hair, and I'm like, oh, well, that's not what I've packed, and that's not what I'm about. So you just listen to Mama and do as you're told. But I thought, you know, going with the obvious gay man in the room, that I was like, oh, that's probably the safe choice. He's probably walked in heels before. But yeah, maybe it was just he was just a bit too eager, and that might have been the undoing.
Walked a few too many miles. Tell, did you think once you walked the runway before you got the judges' critiques, did you think that was it? You were in the bottom, or did you think you had a chance of winning?
I knew I definitely wasn't winning. Like, we looked at Queen and her daughter, and we're like, oh my God, like, girl, you've got this. Like, she looked stunning. Like, she went from like straight bro to this beautiful woman. We're like, who is she? And I wasn't really confident in my looks. The makeover challenge was definitely the hardest thing to kind of like prep for, because you don't know what you're going to get, you know, like, so I wasn't feeling so confident. And also I was like, you know, running out of time, and I was just like a frantic mess. But I was just like, hopefully the judges like it.
You gotta hope.
Yeah.
I'm kind of, the thing that I didn't like about the challenge was the theme. So I thought it was really, I thought it kind of screwed you guys a little bit, because it was like, okay, we want you to have a family resemblance and then do an opposites attract. And I'm like, those two things don't go together. That must have made it hard.
Yeah, that's when like I was prepping for that runway, I'm like, okay, I know it's going to be a makeover challenge. Like, they're going to say, we want, family resemblance. So I tried to make my looks like kind of the same, little differences. Like, I tried to really make them in the same world. So like, I got like the sweet and the sour. So they were just kind of just like literally just different color palettes switched out. So I tried to do that, and hopefully it would have helped me, but obviously it didn't.
No, and so you ended up on the runway beside Hanaconda. Who did you think was going to come out on top there?
Like the lip sync.
Yeah.
Well, we hadn't seen Hannah lip sync the whole season, but I know Hannah's been doing this for like years and years. Like, she's almost got like double the experience like on me. So I was just like, I'm like, she knows how to perform. It could go either way. Who knows? I'm like, maybe they'll keep us both. Like, just make it a top four finale. They did it last year. Why can't they do it this year?
Yeah, it was tough to know, and particularly because she talked herself down. She's like, I think she was the one that said, "I'm a park and bark," wasn't she? Wasn't you? Yeah. So when she said, like, "I'm a park and bark," I was like, all right, so we're not going to see some stunts and some tricks. So I was interested to see what she turned out. I mean, but she was quite theatrical, and I suppose the difficulty with this one is you were both kind of quite theatrical. So it was a tricky one to pick.
Yeah, definitely. And the song, like, it wasn't kind of the song that I'm used to, but I was just like, we gotta make it work. This is Michelle Visage's song, and we're doing it in front of her. Like, we gotta deliver.
Yeah, exactly. Just a little bit of pressure there, just a touch.
little bit. Like when we're like lip syncing to the judges panel, and we're seeing Michelle also lip syncing the words. I'm like, okay, well, make sure don't miss the word in front of Michelle.
I know. I was like, Michelle, you want to come on and get down there as well? She was just like in her element. I think we saw, in the end, I think we saw more of her than we did some other people. But anyway. But sadly, you had to sashay away. Now, we haven't seen it yet. What were the parting words that you left the girls on the mirror?
Oh, I said, she didn't just pop in, she popped off. Love Molly, something like that. Rah, rah, rah. Yeah.
Oh, nice. No drama. No drama for us.
No drama for Miss Molly. No. Yeah, I was just like, nah, have a good finale, girls. I'm out.
Right, so we've got our final three now, and it's all over and done for Molly Poppinz on Drag Race. But what's next, Molly Poppinz off Drag Race? What can we see?
Well, the season is like about to wrap, and then all the girls and season one, we're all going on tour. So make sure everyone's coming around, see us at the big tour. It's going to be so fun. And then, yeah, I'm just going to continue to ride this wave. Like, I've been like flying all around the country. I want to go travel internationally and, go do all like, the drag cons and stuff, and just, really milk like this opportunity for all it's worth.
Milk that 15 minutes and make it
take
as long as we can. Well, Molly Poppinz, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me today.
Yes, thank you so much for having me.
As always, my name is Michael James. Please be sure to click all the subscribe buttons below, and I will be back next week, and I will talk to all of our final three, including the winner of Drag Race Down Under Season 2. Thank you very much. I'm Michael James, and I will see you next time.